Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today we're going to be looking into that sort of mystery of mysteries. What are others thinking about you or the situation that you're sharing with them or your relationship with them, whatever it might be? What are they thinking that they're not telling you? So this could be anything. As I said, it could be about relationship. It could be about a career thing that you're doing together. It could be about your friendship. It could be your beliefs compared to theirs. We'll just see what comes up. And it probably doesn't need a lot of introduction because it's a pretty obvious sort of thing. We're going to be looking at, what's actually going on. What are they focusing on? Is it something you're doing? Is it something they're doing? Is it something external you're sharing or seeing? That kind of thing. We'll then have a look at what would surprise you about their thoughts and what would surprise them about your response as well. So we just sort of get a bit of an overview of the whole dynamic. I'm using different tarot decks to mix it up a bit for each of the readings and to hopefully help with the choice. And what I did was I shuffled and then I said to Spirit, I'll deal out, and the first major arcana card I get from the tarot deck for each pile is what I will put down for choice, and it will have something. It will be part of what we set up with some cards beneath it to see what the theme is. I don't know what these other cards are. They've just been intuitively shuffled, so we'll see. So the only thing that we both know right now is what the major arcana card is. So for pile number 1, we have the highly sensitive tarot and the Hanged Man. For pile number 2, we have the Death card and the Sanctus Concordia tarot. And for pile number 3, we have the Moon card from the Stars Lighting Up the Night tarot. So if any of those imagery or those tarots, if you're familiar with them, draw you, that's fine. If you want to go to more than one reading, that's also fine. When you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I have the timestamps in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome pile 1 to your reading. So you came to the reading with the Hanged Man, which is an interesting energy if people are not telling you something. Very traditionally, the Hanged Man is about someone being stubborn. They might think you're being stubborn, feeling a bit stuck, slowing things down, not moving as quickly as you could, all of those things. But what interests me is in the highly sensitive tarot, it's portrayed in such a different way. It's portrayed as someone sort of, using a... I'm having a mental blank. The apparatus that helps people sort of land easily. I'm sure that you're all screaming at the now about what that is, and I'm just having a mental blank for some reason. But you know what I'm talking about. Parachute. Somebody parachuting down. So I feel in actual fact, it might be either people are thinking you are not being daring enough in a situation, or they may think you're being too daring. And that's partly because of what we're seeing here in the other information to tell us about what this is about. This is about, well, one of the things is for some of you, this is a very specific thing, but I'm going to say it because it could be for some of you, and it'll be a confirmation you're in the right reading. If any of you are writers, publishers, people who want to communicate in any kind of communications industry, profession, or that's what you're studying or anything like that, this is absolutely your reading. Because we've got the 9th house, which picks up academia, publishing, writing, philosophy. We have Gemini, which is all about communication. And 2 of the energies for how you're coming across. One is Whitney Wolfe Herd, who was a magazine writer and editor. So there's a sort of a sense here about communication, the communication industry, how you communicate, what is private and what isn't private. And then we have Patti Smith as a sort of musical energy, which is very depth, a little bit transgressive, going to the core of things. So what I feel is that this is really about communication and what you're prepared to show of yourself. And I think it could split very much in 2 different camps. And even for some of you, you might have some friends, lovers, family, co-workers who think you fit in one and one that think you fit in the other, because there's an almost ambivalent feeling to that Hanged Man. It's sort of, as I say, someone could either see it as being suspended midair with the parachute, or it could be seen as the parachute is protecting someone really plunging into something. And if you're looking at sort of someone who runs a publishing magazine or publishing house or something like that, there are rules and the industry and the topics and all that kind of thing. But then there's also over here this sort of sense of, as I say, pushing the envelope, transgressive stuff, what really matters, what's really deep. There could also be a bit of a gossipy energy here. So you may either be the subject of gossip and people may be aware of it and not wanting to tell you, or you may be in some sort of gossipy sort of like role, like you could be a influencer on social media and you do a lot of the sort of drama stuff, for instance. And then I think some people will think you're very authentic, you're right there, and others may think it's too packaged or something. It feels like on one level it's like if there's disapproval, some people think you go too far and some people think you don't go far enough. If it's approval, some people love that you go really far and others love that you can be very conservative if you need to be. But it's all about what beliefs are, how you're communicating, and whether people agree with you and want to see more, or whether they think, no, I don't agree, you should be the less or more of something. So I think there's a very divided energy in this, but it's all around how you communicate. And it suggests that you have a very powerful form of communication. You have very powerful beliefs and people see that. But whether some people think it's too out there and people see it too much, or whether people don't think it's enough and it's too prepackaged, we'll see what we get. It's just a really interesting group of energies coming together. So let's see, how is this really them looking at you personally? Is it a situation that you and they are in that involves other people? Or is it a very external thing? They're looking at in relation to an external thing. So when I'm thinking about if it's really about you, then it's probably about how they're relating to you. If it's a kind of a situation energy, and that would be having a lot of minor arcana cards. This is partly how I'm going to read the tarot for this first part of it. If it's more a situation energy with other people involved, we might see quite a few court cards. And if it is something that's external, like what your career is or how the world's responding to you, or something like that, then we'll see quite a lot of major arcana cards. And if it's a bit of all of it, which it could be with this sort of energy, we'll see a reasonably broad spread. So we're going to put down 5 cards and we'll see both what those cards are saying and also what that balance is for what people are talking about or thinking and not telling you. 10 of Wands, 9 of Swords reversed, 10 of Swords. Okay, this is very much about you personally. Page of Cups, may be triggered by emotional responses around you. Okay, all right. I think this is tilting a lot to the Patti Smith side of the coin, because we've got, of all this, we've only got 1 court card, so there's at least one other person involved in this. It could be the people that are not telling you how they feel or what they think, or it could be that this is about a relationship that they see around you in some way and how you're communicating and whether you're focusing on what is going to make you happy. But there's something around an emotional connection associated with this. But we've got the 10 of Wands. This is like really full-on energy with 9 of Swords reversed, trying to relieve. It's like you're trying to relieve a burden around a situation that's been dramatic for far too long, and kind of purge an emotional energy. I think if anything, people are thinking you are maybe saying too much about something. It's not, that doesn't mean they're right, but I think that people may be thinking you're kind of like wearing your heart on the sleeve a lot, like you're almost like you're on YouTube or TikTok or Insta every day showing what's going on in your life, to the point that you are saying so much that it's like over dramatic, it's overshared in some way. And I think that they feel that could be either slowing you down, or your perspective could be getting a bit skewed. Like it's like your beliefs on things. Now, this isn't saying that they're right, pole one, but it's just saying that you are a very strong communicator. You have a very strong personality. You do know how to say things and package things for maximum impact. And you put a lot of energy into that, whether it's telling your own story, and I think it is telling your own story in some way, or being true to who you really are, but presenting it in a way that people will understand it, be able to accept it. So I think that some people are thinking you're either oversharing, or they're feeling that you're putting a lot of energy maybe into presenting the sort of polished side, when in fact a lot of what you are is so much more intense and so much more interesting when it's a bit more raw. I'm not sure, it depends on who it is, but this is very much, they're talking about you, or they're thinking about you. And I think a relationship or an emotional issue or an emotional choice that you're making or you're expressing is what's triggering this. I think it's triggering a lot of people. You're triggering a lot of people at the moment. Doesn't mean stop what you're doing. I think but I don't think you're going to, because I do think that they think you're taking a bit of a risk, or you're really being out there, or they're just thinking you're just being stubborn and there's no way that you're going to shift out of this, and they're just going to have to live with it, basically. So what would you, I don't think this would surprise you, actually. So what would surprise you about what they're thinking or saying that they're not saying to you? The Moon, the Six of Pentacles, the Wild card. Okay, that's like almost like having the blank card. The Queen of Pentacles. What would surprise you is one of the reasons that they're getting a bit triggered is they never know whether you're going to be there or not. They find you very... it's not that they find you unreliable, but they just don't know, how long you're going to be somewhere, how long you're going to do something. They feel like you could go at any moment. And a lot of them do rely on you. A lot of the ones that are sort of thinking this do rely on you. It could actually be that if you are in some sort of communications job and part of it you're expressing things about your own views, your own politics, your own life, some of them may really rely on you for like either career or for the connections that they need. But they don't know, are you going to be there or are you going to be gone? They see you as very dramatic. They see you as very mysterious, very mysterious. They think on one level you're very mysterious. This is a very Patti Smithian, like that. This is why they don't know, are you going to still be there tomorrow, sort of thing. So again, it's this sort of like on one level they're thinking you're being stubborn about how you communicate this, and they're worried it's triggering them for some reason. But on the other hand, they also think, well, you could be jumping out of the plane tomorrow and like paragliding down to somewhere else. So I think what would surprise you is how insecure you might make people without meaning to. I don't think you're meaning to do any of this, but I think that people, you're very vibrant, you're very interesting, you're very unique, you wear your heart on the sleeve and all that kind of thing. And I think a lot of people rely on you on one level or another, but they don't know, are you going to be there or not? So what would surprise them in your response to this, if this was actually said to you? If people said, look, you're kind of right out there and we don't know whether that's going to mean you're suddenly going to be gone because you can't talk about that anymore. We care about you. We want to be with you. We want whatever it might be, but we just don't know, like are you here for a long time or a good time, as they say. Okay, so what would surprise them in your response? Eight of Pentacles. Partly that you have the skills and you know what you're doing, like there's a method to your madness. Seven of Cups, and that you have emotional ideals. I think they see you as dramatic and vibrant and charismatic, but they don't actually see there's an idealistic side in you. And the Ace of Wands, that you need, that a lot of this is about, this is how you get your inspiration. So it's not necessarily this sort of level of drama around you will mean you're gone. It's like, this is how you get inspiration, and you do have ideals and you do care and you've got the skill to do this. You know what you're doing. Like I just feel like you're doing something in communications, or you're communicating about yourself, and it's probably something you'll eventually do in a job. And there is this, you're a really interesting mix of like great presentation and great depth. But the combination of it makes people nervous because it makes you such a mystery. They don't really know where they stand with you. Okay, so let's have a look at some characteristics. Let's see a couple of cards from, I'm going to use 3 different decks, a couple of cards for you and how you're coming across to people, and then a couple of cards for how people are responding to that if they're not telling you how they're responding. So the first deck, just to give you a little bit more information about how to sort of see this energy, because they're not telling you. They're a little bit in awe of you, I think, actually, Taiwan. So how you're coming across that they're not saying. Musical. Oh, musical with Patti Smith. Creative, musical, dramatic. And you're coming across as sassy. Yeah. Sassy, well-presented, musical, deep. Like, you're very charismatic with people. I mean, they can't look away. You really are born to be a communicator or an influencer or something like that. Then in terms of how they are responding as a result, Well, they're not telling you about this. Adventurous. Okay. Some of them want to go on the adventure with you. They just want to make sure that you're going to let them. And that it's not all just about you. It's not just your show, so to speak. And grace. Okay. I feel like that's partly this Whitney Wolf heard. I think some of them try to show that they are as adventurous and charismatic and graceful as you, because you come across in this really interesting way, as I say, of having all those energies. I think they try and show you that they're like them. This is how you're going to know that they're actually feeling a bit insecure. And some of them do, and I'm not saying you are actually deliberately giving this energy off, but some of them do think it's your show and nobody else's, and that, like, would they even be allowed to fit in? So you just need to be aware because you're such a strong personality. Okay, so let's get a couple of cards from the Them in Colour. We need to be a little bit lateral with this deck, but again, to sort of see how you're coming across that they're not saying and how they're responding to try and tell you in a way without telling you. So you, sharp, fancy, chisel, cunning, tall. Yeah, they think you're sharp, they think you're clever, they think you may be a bit cunning, they're not really sure. Also, maybe you have a bit of a sharp tongue, pile one, or they fear that you might. And Pisces, romantic, vulnerable. Yeah, and then they also think there's a great deal of emotional depth. But it's sort of like you protect it with maybe this sort of sharp tongue. A bit like a combination of Pisces and Scorpio maybe. So how do they come across to you to sort of say this without saying it? Black, powerful, mysterious, intimidating, influential. They're trying to meet you energy for energy. The ones who are saying this anyway. If people are not trying to mimic you and mirror you and be as strong and powerful and out there as you, then they're not saying this. This is talking about a particular group of people that are trying to be like you. And silver, modern, trendy, accessory style. Yeah, they're very into how they appear. Very into how they appear. I think you might naturally be well dressed and well presented. I think they put a lot of time into it. Okay, and then I'm just going to pull one card for each, one for you and one for them, around pairings of planets, again, for how you come across. So again, what they're thinking in relation to you. Sun and Venus, they think you're, some of them might actually have a huge crush on you, actually. I wouldn't be surprised. I think you're very attractive. So some of them like just absolutely believe that, but they're not going to tell you because they think you know. Like if it's friends of the same gender who aren't attracted to you in a same-sex situation, then there might be a lot of jealousy, like, oh, that person knows they're attractive, I'm not going to tell them. Like there's that, but they could also be very attracted to you. And then how they'll come across to you rather than tell you that they know that you're attractive. Mars and Chiron, they try and overcompensate. You'll see a kind of overcompensatory, kind of ambitious energy. You'll sense it. You'll sense that there's something that they want to heal. So, and if it is sort of someone who's physically attracted to you, they'll almost try and show how they overcome and heal from things, or whatever. They're trying to sort of show value in that way. Okay, all right. So given that I thought this would be a kind of reading where there's a bit of, it's a little bit difficult to hear this sort of thing because it's usually if people aren't telling you something, it's going to be something that kind of is a little bit discombobulating. I wanted to get a couple of goddesses to bring you support when you kind of realise this and work out who it is that's sort of like thinking this and not saying it. So firstly, Easter. Okay, so just stay true to your beauty, to your newness, to what you want to do, and move on. Like if people like this are doing this and they get really obsessive with you or controlling or competitive because they think you're going to move on, then give them a self-fulfilling prophecy because it's not a good energy to be in. Always just keep thinking about the new and your creativity and so forth. Your attractiveness should not be something that you have to hide to make other people feel better. And the Queen, yeah. You're the Queen. You're the sovereign. Don't let them... They'll try and be like you, but they're not going to be like you. You're kind of... You are. There's something about you. You should be, as I say, doing, being a social influencer or, being sort of someone out there and communicating, and you are your product. And don't ever doubt that, pile one. Okay, let's get you some stars to guide you as well. 10th house. A lot of this is playing out in career. I do think that you are made for a career in communications, that kind of thing, your beliefs and who you are. And as I say, you are your product. And if there's going to be jealousy and that kind of thing, it's probably going to come out a lot in the career energy. Mutable. You're flexible, able to deal with that. It's a way of dealing with it. You know, like keep the people that are not feeling this way, move on from the others. Don't let them bend you or break you. You're too strong for this. And new moon, plant what you desire, limitless possibilities. Yeah, just keep moving forward, like with Easter, with the new, with the springtime energy. Yeah, like if people find that threatening, then they shouldn't be in your life. I think with you, the thing that's interesting is that if people just enjoy you and who you are in all your different ways of expressing yourself and your different incarnations, even within this incarnation, because you're kind of a bit like that, you're a little bit of a shapeshifter, then you will be loyal to them and they'll be there and it'll be ride or die. But for the ones that feel this is insecure, it's kind of showing you that they would want to use your ability, your energy to be the queen bee, to be the controlling one, to decide, you know, and like love them and leave them almost. They're mirroring their own insecurities to you. So to finish off, let's just get like an overall energy that's around this, around what people are thinking or talking to each other about but not telling you, just to bring it all together. Head over heels. Oh yeah, some of them are really, like you really are attractive. Some of them are like really head over heels for you. Some may think that you fall head over heels and then you tell the whole universe and you shouldn't. Like it just depends on what this is. Some want to be so much like you that they may as well be in love with you. This is all a very strong response to your sort of emotional nature, your attractiveness, your love nature, and your openness in the way you can communicate it. So if you understand it that way and understand that people are often a little bit in awe of you, then I think it's going to work out a lot better for you than well, I don't think things are going to actually work out badly, but it won't be people and that kind of energy you feel from it slowing you down, because you're meant to be this charismatic, communicating, wild child, but with grace and dignity and all of those sort of things. So you do you, as I often say, and I really mean it for you, part one. So hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, part two, to your reading. So you're going to the reading with the Death card, which is a card of choice and transition from the Sanctus Concordia Tarot deck. And these are meant to give me a little bit of an idea about how you're being viewed, what people could be saying that they're not telling you. It's interesting. I think there's one of two things going on here, and we'll get a little bit more of an idea when we use the tarot. But one thing is, you know, and almost trigger warning before I say this, is that it might be that there is some sort of gossip about you, about whether or not someone is cheating on you, or whether you found the right sort of like love match, the right person to bring into your home, into your heart, you know, that fits your spiritual sort of self and your heart and who you are. Like the reason I say that is that firstly we have Diana, Princess of Wales here. Then we have the fourth house and Scorpio and death as a choice. I feel it's almost like people might be talking about whether or not there are some secrets either that you're keeping or are being kept from you about something in your love life. Now, I don't want to say they're right. Doesn't necessarily mean if you're with someone that they're cheating on you or whatever, but there's just this sort of sense of people looking, you know, as they did with Diana, you know, at the relationship that she was in. And then we've got Hildegard von Bingen as a musical one, which is sort of like someone very connected to the heart and the spirit, very beautiful music. Like there's a great deal of beauty and beauty of soul operating here, and depth of soul right at the core and in the home life, and a decision. So for some of you, it could be that people are talking about, are you going to stay in a relationship? Have you got the right person? Are you with the right person? That kind of thing that could be going on. Otherwise, I think people are saying that that you're almost, you won't make a decision about who to love or who to bring in close enough. There's a sort of like a cautionary energy around it to protect your heart and your spirituality, and you need to make a decision to allow love in. So people may see you as being very alone. I mean, Diana, Princess of Wales, was, even though married, was very alone in her marriage. Nuns, are married to Christ. They're not necessarily married to somebody. And it's just interesting with the fourth house. And it's not saying you have to get married, by the way. I'm just using it as a broad way of describing being with someone. Scorpio goes so deep and so intensely, and it is kind of connected to the death card. So there's a transition. There could be also discussion about a big transition you're going through or about to go through around relationships, where you live, your family, and that could be being discussed. So it sort of depends. But I feel like they're kind of looking, I think most of this is actually very well-meaning. Even if there's any gossip, I think it's well-meaning. I think you're seen as very pure and very, deserving of good outcomes. I think if there's any discussion like this, there's almost a concern for you, whether or not the people are right. So we want to get a little bit more of an idea about whether they could be right or what it's about. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be looking at both what the first row of tarot says in terms of its traditional meaning, but I'm also going to be looking to see, is this mainly about you, in which case most of the cards will be minor arcana. Is it involving other people to a fairly significant extent, in which case we'll get court cards? Or is it sort of really external? It's like something that's like you and the people who are talking about it are being impacted by or involved in externally that is triggering the discussion or the thoughts that they're not sharing with you. So we'll just try and get a sense about that in this first row of tarot. So Page of Wands, there's at least one other person involved in this. Oh, there are. Queen of Wands, other people are definitely involved. Queen of Swords, wow. The Moon reversed. The Knight of Pentacles. Okay. They're not, whatever this is, they're not really talking per se about you. They're not talking to you about something, I think, about other people and other situations and so forth. They're not really talking about you, but I think they see you. I think they hold you in very high regard. I think they're quite protective of you, but they think there's a decision you're going to need to make because of external factors, but it's mainly other people. So we've got, sorry, just pause for a second because I see my landlord outside, but he seems to be talking to someone outside. So hopefully he's not going to come in and bother me at this point. But if I do, I'll just pause and get back to it once he's done. But as I say, there's other people involved in this. Page of Wands, Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Swords, Knight of Pentacles. One of the things I like is they're all upright. I don't feel like this is necessarily something where there's a bad guy. Okay, so it doesn't feel to me like people are talking about whether you're being cheated on or something like that. This feels more like family, if anything. This feels more like family, or a workplace. It could be a workplace with the Knight of Pentacles. But it's interesting. It's probably more family with the fourth house, unless you work from home or something that you do has a very strong home connection, real estate or something like that. But it looks to me like, in fact, one of the things I'm just getting is just a very, very specific thing. But if any of you have just gone for a job interview, then people are talking about you as to whether they're going to offer you the job, and I think they probably will. So that's good. So you'll have a choice to make. Do I take the job? But otherwise, I feel like people are seeing, I think, you in comparison to other people. Like either in your family, very different to your family, more pure than your family, for instance, needing to move out of a family home so that you can be true to yourself, more creative than a family that's maybe more about sort of money and kind of philosophy. There's something that they think is coming to the surface for you to allow you to make that decision, to know what to commit to, but it's definitely connecting with other people. Definitely connecting with other people. So I don't think, but it doesn't look like somebody cheating. So that's good. I just wasn't sure with Diana, Princess of Wales turning up. I don't think it's that. I think it's either your connection with your family, connection with people in the workplace, and something is coming to the surface that maybe the people who are thinking about you or talking about you know that you don't know yet. But I feel like they are very much on your side. So this does not feel gossipy or ill-favoured. Okay, so I think the good news about that is I think this is a very well-meaning group of people. I think it's just people that are wanting to make sure that you get the best sort of place to be, the best place to sort of be, in touch with your heart and with your spiritual thing. And I think that they think there's something that you need to do. And if I sound a bit puffed, I just went downstairs to see what was going on with my landlord. Okay, so let's see what would surprise you about what people were thinking or saying but not saying to you about this. The Devil reversed, the King of Pentacles, the Page of Swords reversed, the King of Cups reversed. It looks to me like the fact that they're even talking at all would surprise you with the Page of Swords if you knew about it, talking or thinking about it at all. You think it's very private. And maybe even what they have to tell you, because I think what will happen with this actually is these people will talk to you eventually. It's just that they're not right now because they're waiting for more information. So I think the whatever they bring to you is going to be a bit surprising. It's going to be healing though. I don't think it's going to upset you at all, but I think it is going to make you think very, very distinctly about whether you want to sort of release yourself from some fairly long-term scenario, like a job that you're in or a place that you're living or something like that. I mean, even with those two together, I still don't feel it's like they're going to tell you that someone's, cheating on you or whatever. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like more people are involved, but it feels like more like an organisation or that there's an opportunity or something. If you've been looking for a new place to live and it's almost been impossible to find, so you've been living with your family, they might say, we found something. And it's like, wow, okay, now I can actually shift out. It feels like it is surprising communication, but I don't think it's about you. It's about other people in a situation that you're in and how you could be liberated in some way. So that's good. But you need to make the decision with the Death card. So what would surprise them in your response? Six of Wands reversed. The Hermit reversed. Five of Wands. Okay, now, the corollary of all of this is that, as I say, I feel like these people think really highly of you, and I think that they really care about you. They only want the best. But you may feel as though they kept something from you for longer than was helpful, or that, like they almost shielded you from a situation until they knew more. I think you're going to kind of respond like, why didn't you tell me sooner? Not that I think it's necessarily a big issue, but I think at first it's just going to be like, you just should have told me sooner. Or like if you knew this was coming or you knew these things were going on, why didn't you tell me sooner? For some of you, this could be that, some of these people who are talking are like managers in a workplace and they know a big workplace change is coming. And it's going to be all right for you in the end, but you might have thought, I really would have liked to have been on the inside track of it. So there's sort of something like that going on. So I feel like it's like what will surprise them is you will be, I really would have wanted to know about this earlier. I think they think you're very, very private and you don't want your stuff to be talked about, but it just gets to the point where they really feel they have to say something because they're privy to some information. And I think they're going to be a bit surprised because you'll go, I could have heard that before. I would have been okay hearing that before. So it's an interesting energy. I do think, as I say, it's good news ultimately. But you might feel like you were being sheltered when you didn't need to be sheltered. That's kind of because you have the intensity and the capacity to deal with this. It's almost like that hasn't been fully recognised. Okay, so let's have a look with a few decks that kind of can show us characteristics. So we're going to do a couple of cards, for the first two, a couple of cards from each to show what people are thinking about you but they're not saying, and then what they're showing to you as a result of that rather than talking to you. So firstly, quirky. They think you're unusual. They think you're different. They may think that you're not going to fit in with something, some sort of group, some sort of opportunity. And when they tell you, it's like, yeah, that's fine. They may not fully understand who you are, but they think you're sweet. Yeah, they really like you. I do. I think it's almost you're going to find out that some people who really, really love you, they really do care about you, but they're kind of keeping you on cotton wool, and it's going to irritate you a bit when you find out. So how are they coming across to you rather than talking to you about it? Prankster. You may sort of feel like they're kind of trying to joke around or something like that to bring it across in another way, and you'd prefer if they were really kind of like overt about it. They may also think the prankster fits with the quirky side of you. And non-judgmental. So I think, but that's interesting, those two together, because it's kind of like they're just trying to make a joke out of things rather than seeming judgmental. There is something in this energy, I've got to say, where, as I say, they mean well, but they are kind of keeping you in cotton wool. And I think you'll feel, you know what, they actually are judgmental, but they're trying to make out they're not. And I think once you, because I think they will tell you whatever this is eventually. It's just a matter of time. So again, in another deck, similar sort of thing. What are they thinking about you that's impacting them not talking to you at the moment? Silver, modern, trendy, accessory style. They think that you're very well put together. They think that you present yourself really well. And spots, routine, freckles, birthmark, consistency. And they don't think you change that easily, actually. This might be one of the things. That you've got a very clear idea of who you are, and you may not change your spots that easily. You're consistent. I think, again, with Princess Diana, when she finally sort of left the royal family, people sort of saw other sides to her that they might not have realised. And then in terms of how they're coming across to you when they're not talking, fire, pointy features, animated gestures, unruly hair. That's probably more like fire energy. I think they're more kind of coming across as dramatic and creative and all of those sort of things. And Taurus, humble, practical, focused, patient, and not too over the top. Sort of like they're kind of, there's a bit of drama around them, but they want it to be practical. It's like, it's like something's going on. It's like they've got, some idea about something that's happening in your career or around your family or even in your love life, though I think it's less likely to be your love life. And they're just like, they're kind of really easing you towards it. And I think you might be a bit irritated when you find out, but I think it'll be all right. So let's, again, with a couple of pairs of planets, see how are you coming across to them that they're not saying. Pluto and Pluto, they think if you hear about this too soon, it could be combustible. They think you're quite dramatic, actually. And I guess, Princess Diana, again, she was seen as dramatic. Like they think that and the Scorpio sort of energy. Like, when you change, you really change. So again, I kind of think they're a bit like, is this the right time? Should you know this? Do they have enough information? They think you respond very strongly to things. And I think more strongly than you actually do. I think that they've kind of misunderstood something of your energy. What about how they're coming across to you? Venus and Pluto. Yeah, they're trying to soften up and prettify up change and choice. You're actually much more able to deal with the sort of like the more underworld power elements around change than they are, but they think that you're very sweet and you don't like change and all that kind of thing. But they do think that if you started in this, you'd be kind of a bit combustible. I think there's a little bit of projection operating, actually, pile 2. So let's see what goddess energy can help you deal with it. I don't think these people mean any harm at all. It's not gossipy. This is just, they're just not understanding you. What energy can support you? The actress. Okay. Yeah, you may need to act a particular way to bring this out. And you don't have to show everything that you think initially either. And Baba Yaga, oh wow, yeah. They better be honest with you. That's the Scorpio energy. They better be honest. Yeah, this is very much, you're, as I say, you're more powerful than they think. Just as, again, Princess Diana was more powerful than people thought, I think, much stronger than people thought. Okay, so let's get some stars to guide you. I think it is going to sort itself out. I just think you're going to be a bit irritated. We get the 4th house again. This has got to do with where you live or who you live or who you are at your core. It definitely does. And it could be connected to family. But if it's family, you already know this stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of, if it was a family decision around, I don't know, inheritances or whether a place is going to be sold or something like that. I mean, like it's like you're brought into it a bit later than you should be. And that, but you know, it's core to you and you know how to deal with this. You're actually a bit more stable than the ones who are trying to protect you. We've got the 9th house. You also have a very good philosophy about things. You're happy to expand life, expand your horizons. And Leo, yeah, and you're able to be in this world, and you're not to be wrapped up in cotton wool. That's what I keep feeling. Like I feel like people mean well, but they really don't understand you, pile 2. Okay. So let's just finish off with a card from the Human Spirit Oracle, just for a little bit more of an idea about the nature and energy of what isn't being said to you and what this kind of procession towards it being said to you, I think, will be like. Life of the party. You're going to surprise them. You're going to surprise them. It's not that they necessarily see you as a wallflower, because nobody would call Princess Diana a wallflower, but I think that they see you as sort of someone who's a little bit more subdued and demure. I think you're going to sort of like really start to show your true colours and what you feel about things and all that kind of thing by whatever this is. So they're kind of expecting one response and they're going to get a different one. But I think it's a good one. Have fun. Be yourself. The rest will sort itself out, pile 2. So I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with the moon card from the stars lighting up the night. And it's interesting, the stars lighting up the night, and we have someone like Elvis Presley as part of the energy for this. So this is to give me a bit of a sense about, along with the moon card itself, what is it that people could be thinking or saying about you and not telling you? And I think that you're seen fundamentally as a bit of a mystery with the moon. So people are trying to work you out because you seem to be almost two things in one. One side of you is very much of the good life, of enjoying life, you know, good food, good wine, good love, all that kind of thing that Taurus sort of has, connected with Elvis Presley, very, very kind of sensual, of the world, all of that kind of energy. On the other side, we have the 12th house, which feels very moon-like, very Piscean, very sort of psychic, liminal, with Albert Einstein, incredibly smart, incredibly inspired. Some people may literally be saying about you that you have a knack, a sort of an ability to sort of see things coming, to look outside of the box and become very successful and materially successful out of it, a bit like an Elon Musk sort of energy. So that could be being said. Others could be saying that you're a dichotomy, because on one side you seem to be very much private and within yourself and within your world and mysterious, but on the other one, you know, sometimes you're just really out there and partying and being seen. So I think a lot of people are confused by you. A lot of people are trying to work out, are you more Elvis and Taurus over here, or more Albert in the 12th house? More of the sensual world, or more of the psychic and psyche world and science world? But either way, I think that what is said about you is because you present a mystery. And I wouldn't mind betting you're actually one of those sort of people who has some very different friends in your life. And if you brought them all together for a dinner party, they'd all be thinking like, why are you friends with that person? Because you really are kind of like two people in one. I mean, and you are one person, but that's where the mystery is coming from. That's where people don't know. And some of them really just want to spend the good time with you and have good times and like really enjoy life and manifest things and be successful. And the other ones that are like, what I like about you is being able to sit down and talk about deep matters and life, the universe, and everything. So you're a dichotomy. That's what's triggering. So it's almost like whichever side of the fence the people are, they're not talking to you about the other side because they don't understand it. So it's that kind of thing. So we're going to get a little bit more information. Now, how we start with the tarot, the first line I'm going to do, I will look at what the cards are in terms of what they mean, but more than that, like I'm going to do more of a focus on, is it primarily minor arcana, in which case what is being said is a lot about you personally, or is it court cards, it's you in relation to other people, or the impact of other people is somehow being discussed in relation or thought about in relation to you. Or major arcana, it could be a external event that is making people in your orbit talk about you, because it's also impacting them. So I just want to get a sense about what's really going on at that level first. So 5 of Pentacles, 9 of Pentacles reversed, 3 of Pentacles reversed, 7 of, this is about you. People just don't know who you are. 7 of Cups reversed, Page of Swords reversed. To the degree that there are other people involved, it's like it's hard to communicate. It's like, I think this is the people who are thinking the stuff and not saying it. And they're not saying it because they're confused. They're really confused. And I'm not saying change things. I'm just saying be aware that that's the case. So you don't get the communication because they're not sure who they're talking to always. Because here we've got someone who likes to be on their own. 12th house, Albert Einstein, thinking deep thoughts or only having conversations with one person about really deep things. And then 9 of Pentacles reversed, someone who likes to be around a lot of people, doesn't like being alone, wants all the good things in life. Then we have sort of someone who doesn't want to collaborate, who wants to work on their own. And then someone here with 7 of Cups who wants to sort of reach out to others sort of realistically to make things work. So you're kind of a little bit, I'm not saying that you are deliberately showing two different sides to you, but I think it depends who you're around. But I think that there's something, they know enough about you or they've seen enough to know the other side is there, and that it confuses them. It confuses them. So sometimes they're not sure, do you want them around and to collaborate, or do you just want to be on your own? Do you feel that other people are necessary for something, or is that or not? Or do you think no here, or do you think yes? Because realistically, to bring about the ideal, we need to sort of bring in other emotions and so forth. It's like you confuse people, and I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying that's why they're not talking to you. It's not that they don't like you. It's not that they want to gossip about you. It's not that something awful is going to happen. It's just you really confuse people. And you may be in some sort of a job or a position where that's exactly what you're trying to do, because it might be necessary for work or for some sort of political or social advantage or something. So you'll know whether that's working for you, but it would make things complicated for love, I've got to say. And it's interesting that you do have the capacity to be realistic about that. I just don't think you're that focused on it at the moment. I mean, maybe you're in a happy love relationship and that person likes both sides of you and they have both sides. But if you are looking for love, it could be a little bit complicated. So let's then say, what would surprise you about what people were saying or thinking? Ace of Cups, the Hanged Man reversed, 9 of Swords reversed, the Emperor. Okay, what would surprise you? Firstly, how much people care about you would surprise you. I think you're very independent. Even in the good life sort of stuff here, you're very independent. You don't actually need other people much. It doesn't mean that you don't care about people. It's just that it would surprise you how much people really do like you. They enjoy that side of you. They're fascinated by that side. You might have a lot of people fall in love with you and then get really confused because they're not sure who they're dealing with. So that would surprise you. And it would also surprise you how much it worries people about the different sides. But they don't feel like they know who you are completely. That would surprise you. You feel that you're just being you. And you think it's pretty obvious who you are. So you think, oh, that's really weird. And you feel that you've reached a point like the King or the Queen of Wands, I think the Empress, they all kind of have a self-actualization energy. You kind of really know who you are, the side that loves life, the side that's very deep. You're very self-actualized and sovereign of your own domain and very able to just be on your own if you have to be. But it doesn't mean that you don't care, but it would surprise you. I don't think you're really conscious of the fact that people are getting confused. So let's see what would surprise them if they did say to you, like, who are you? Are you Elvis or are you Albert? Is your life Taurus or is it the 12th house? What would surprise them in your response? Knight of Pentacles reversed. 8 of Pentacles reversed. 4 of Cups. What would surprise them is I think you would say you'd be quite unapologetic about it. You'd say, well, I'm both and I'm neither. Like, I don't want to just be one thing. I've worked at mastering different aspects of my life, the life that, can like enjoy my life and have fun and like make money or whatever, but then also the side that, like goes, what is it to my core and what do I really believe and how can I look at the different things? Like that's just who I am. I'm not deliberately trying to be mysterious. It's who I am. I'm not going to shift in that because I don't want to pick one or the other. I think it's a skill to be able to do both. Otherwise, I'm going to get bored. Like, really, don't ask me to choose. I can be both, but you can relate to one or the other, or you can relate to both. But I may be a third thing or a fourth thing in a year or two's time because that's how I evolve. I think that's what you would say. You're very sure of yourself, and you should be very smart. But it will surprise you to what degree you kind of confuse people and probably intimidate them a bit, I have to be honest. So let's have a look at how that might be playing out at another level. So I'm going to use 2 decks that have sort of characteristics, and I'm going to get a couple of cards for what people are seeing in you that they're not telling you, and then what you're experiencing from them as a result of them not telling. So you just sort of, what energy do you experience from them? So how they see you but they're not telling you. Dangerous, yeah. Like, it's not necessarily that they think you're untrustworthy, but they're just not sure. Like, and I think if they do fall for you, and some of them do, they're a bit worried about, do I know who I'm falling for? And committed. So I think they do feel, if you were in a connection with them, that you're loyal to that. I think they also think that whichever side they've seen the most of, they think you're committed to that, but this other side is just putting them off and making them think, what does this really mean? What is it really? So then what you experience from them, sports, okay. You might think that they're trying to sort of play games. They're not, they're trying to sort you out, but you might see them as like just playing games. You might not understand how deep this runs. And stylish. Yeah, at the moment, I've got to be honest, you're not seeing it. You're just thinking that, some of them are kind of for the sort of fun, and some of them are how they're presenting themselves. You take people as they are. You don't, and if they have multifaceted sides, the sporty side and the stylish side, you think that's fine. You don't see what the issue is, and there isn't really an issue. But I think that it's so distinct in you, these 2 different sides, that it's actually just confusing people, as I kept saying. So, and I think quite a few of them are really quite smitten with you, and so they're feeling a bit vulnerable. So they're trying to show different aspects of their personality too to be like you, but they're just worried. So again, what are you coming across as that they're not sort of saying to you? Okay, so it could be, I think here it's much more the characteristics of the snake for Chinese astrology. I don't think it really matters whether you were born in that year. But so the characteristics are things like clever, curious, alluring, wise, sometimes anxious, calculating, sometimes jealous. So I think but I think a snake also sheds its skin. I think that they're just trying to figure out, who are you? And Sagittarius, adventurous, philosophical, brave, honest. So what's maybe, Sagittarius is actually a good bridge between the two, because the philosophical stuff's the Albert Einstein and so forth, and the adventurous stuff is the Elvis Presley. So at the best, they sort of see you on that sort of level. That's where it works quite well. What about what they show to you rather than talk to you about this, about the fact that you're mysterious, because that's really what they're talking about. Pisces, romantic, vulnerable. Yeah, they might show a certain vulnerability. I do think that you have people fall for you, and part of it is the mystery. And pink, rosy cheeks, loving, playful, sweet. They don't want to show you. They don't want to say it to you. I don't know whether it's that they don't want to hurt your feelings, or they think that you're just going to, rush away from them or something. But they're trying to be very emotional, and it's like they're appealing to your heart because they're not really sure what your mind's going to say. So then let's see with a couple of pairings of astrology planets. So for you, again, how are they seeing you? Sun and moon. Yeah, well, there's the 2 opposites. and the moon in particular, but you're also, you shine very brightly. Alchemical marriage, some of them, like at least one of the people who's doing this has a huge crush on you or is in love with you, and it's really, really, they're the most vulnerable, I would say. And what are you experiencing from the people in general or from this person? Because it just might be one person who's in love with you and is feeling really, really vulnerable. Venus. Here you see the love, you see the caring. You find them very attractive. You like them. It's simpler for you because you don't think that there's a problem with being kind of a bit of a dichotomy. You think that's just a kind of a skill. And I think you're probably right. I don't think you're wrong on that. But I think when someone's vulnerable to you, that's when the things that they don't understand with you are the most difficult. They're probably kind of second-guessing everything you say and do as to whether it relates to them and all of that kind of thing. So certainly on that. But beyond that, people are just trying to be sort of like attractive to you. And like part of this, if you seem to have two very strong different personality sides, like how do they manage to be attractive to both of those in whatever form it's playing out? Okay, so let's get a couple of goddesses to give you some guidance in dealing with this, because I don't think you mean any harm here. You don't want to hurt these people, and I think you probably like them, but you're really comfortable in being a chameleon almost, and so it's like how do you work with that energy with them? Hathor, which is kind of like having fun, doing it, like making it fun, making it enjoyable. So maybe, if they do finally say something, to say, let's have some fun. Let's if we spent most of our time discussing life, the universe and everything, let's just go out and have a nice meal. Or if we're always out to theatre and shows, let's just have a quiet night in and talk about the universe. And Yuzumi, which is a sense of, again, like joy, like kind of finding joy. She's also the goddess of dance. So again, it might be like, this might be the main thing. It might be that it's more people who know the sort of studious, thoughtful, philosophical side of you. So maybe actually kind of just getting them to have fun with you and showing actually it's okay to have both. Go out dancing, have a nice meal and go out dancing or something like that. Particularly if it's someone who's got a crush and you might think that they could be the one too. Okay, so let's get you some stars to guide you as well. South Node. Part of this with you is that you do things and this is the snake energy, you shed your skin, you're sort of always moving and evolving. And like, if you get them to understand that, that this is a skill, it could be something they'd learn from you. The other thing I wanted to say as I was doing that is we've got the crab energy, we've got the Cancer energy around the moon. And the thing about that is that it is a very protective, self-protective energy. So you do trigger a kind of self-protection energy with the people who are thinking or talking about you. Sixth house, how can you be of service to them? Or if they're looking for the connection with you, how can they be of service to you as well? And also like things like physical stuff, the Taurian stuff, like, it's Virgo's house, but it's a very earthy house, going out and exercising. And then you get the kind of physicality, but you could also have a discussion about life, the universe and everything when you were hiking in the woods or something. And full moon, harvest, reap what you have sown. So understand that the implications of what you do have outcomes. People do respond to it. It's not just, I can wear this sort of like persona today. It does have consequences. So you do need to be aware because people are paying attention and feeling a bit vulnerable, I think. Okay, so just to finish off, we're just going to get a card from the Human Spirit deck for just anything else around the nature of this discussion or thought around you, so that you get a clearer picture again of how they're responding to this sort of dichotomy within your personality. Midas touch. Oh, that's interesting. So gives even another aspect to this, particularly to the Elvis Presley Taurian side of things, the sort of very material thing. But just in general, on one level, you are very talented. You have the Midas touch. The things that you do are likely to manifest. You're likely to be successful. You're very talented. You have lots of skills. And people have probably got to know you either on one side of your skills or the other side of your skills. But the thing about Midas was that when he touched things, everything turned to gold, and it affected his relationships because he couldn't touch his family. So I think this is just saying this is affecting your relationships. So use that great depth of understanding that the 12th house and Albert Einstein gives, and a sense of what the good life would be, and the emotional resonance of an Elvis Presley to connect to people and understand, because there is a risk here that the difference that you have could separate you from people that you would want to enjoy being with. If you're too much of a mystery, if you're too aspirational, it can make you as alone as it would be to be Midas and touch everybody and they just turn to gold. So it is an interesting, it's just know it about yourself. You're intoxicating and fascinating and all of those sort of things, but you could end up a little bit alone if you don't understand how to bring people in and make them comfortable with the differences and be part of it and have fun with it. So I hope that resonates. I hope it was helpful. I really think these people care about you. And I don't think you're doing anything wrong, but it's sort of like one of those sort of situations where you could have the law of unintended consequences in what you're doing. So hopefully this is helpful advice. Hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.